Welcome, chat. It's Wednesday, March 30th, 20th. My apologies there. Thank you for joining us for Wisecrack Live. Mike will be with us in just a moment. We're gonna have a lot of fun today, looking at just two monsters fighting. Be right back. Don't forget to like the stream as you settle on in. Oh no, Sean, sorry to hear about your case of the Wednesdays. We had an outbreak last week after some stuff happened with a Monday stream delay. So I think there's some residual cases of the Wednesdays still out there among the chat. Sorry about that. MK, I wish. I wish we could just get dudes in suits on giant cardboard sets and stream that for y'all. We can take some friendly bets. We can have some fun with it. We can just watch things get destroyed. All good spirited fun. But instead, we have to watch ruling class monsters waste our time. Also, thanks for the lick 4x. If you have a green name, don't forget you have access to all kinds of fun emojis. Be sure to utilize those while licking the stream, getting on in here, and Mike will be with us in just a moment.
Whoa, it's March 20th. It's 3:20. 1 month exactly till 4:20. I don't know why people get excited about that day, but it's fun. I'm here on a very foggy day in Los Angeles, California with Wisecrack Live. I'm Michael Burns, joined by producer Henry. And, today, if there's one message you get from this show, if there's one message that you carry into your week, if there's one message that orients your whole life, I would hope that it's this. It could always be worse. It could always be worse. So there you go. Great to see everyone hanging out in the chat already. Love to see, aggressive use of membership emotes. You take advantage of your privileges. A dog formerly known as a cat went a little bit hard in the chat, and I appreciate it. So lick the stream. Ann Porkins is here with that slop gut. Lots going on in the chat. We always love to see it. Jello Shots came in hot with 10 memberships. So there we go, right? Off the bat, what's up, Never from Mars? Love you too, big dog. Citizens of Civilization. Sorry, it won't work out. I am shit. I'll always be shit. I was born shit, so I'm never gonna stop being shit. But I hope it feels good to drop into a stream you never watch, to be mean to a person you've never met. And I hope that sort of fills the glaring hole inside your heart.
Best interaction.
Yeah. I just hope, I hope that whoever, what's the person's name again? Citizens of Civilization. I hope that you step back. Genuinely, I hope this for you. And you ask, what felt good about jumping into a stream to be mean to a stranger? I really want you to ask yourself that. And maybe, it just feels good, and that's the only thing that gets you off. And if that's the only thing that gets you off, do you? You know what I mean? Sociopathy is a thing, and I respect that. Maybe it's that people are mean to you in life, and then you feel like you need to be mean to other people to feel better. And I get that. But, it probably didn't feel good when people were mean to you, and it's really not going to make you, you don't want to keep that cycle going. So maybe it's that, or maybe it's that you want me dead. And if that's the case, I say bring it on. I DM me. I'll give you my address. No, I'll give you my address. I'll give you clues, and I dare you. I absolutely triple dog dare you. But I hope you have a great day. Jello shots is the opposite of that. So thanks for giving all of us out. Narnarhead is correct. We did have a butt baby. Narnarhead, when you say butt baby, let me know. Are you referring to the classic Tenacious D sketch? The Emo Dragon is here. Follow the Emo Dragon on Twitter if you don't. Great follow. Great follow. Whoa, love for Mexico City. We love you back. Henry, have you ever been to Mexico City?
I have not.
Yeah, me either. I feel like that sounds like a great place. The stream used to be great. It had amazing philosophical coverage. Then you used the name Jared built you for empty takes. The stream didn't start till I took over those citizens of
Yeah, that's just historically inaccurate.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you're gonna hate on me, hate on me for the right reason. I'm gonna say this too. This is where I'm getting a little. I'm gonna cross a line here, so get ready, guys. I'm going to. Oh, the Peacemaker rant's awesome, Narnarhead. But Citizens of Civilization. Oh, we don't have to delete it. I don't really care. I don't know. Well, we sure we can't. We can't. You know, we got it. Whatever.
Oh, I just put them in timeout because they're generally kind of like going off.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Timeout's fair.
But they can come back and talk in a few minutes.
Yeah, no, here's a funny thing. Whenever people are like, oh, Michael took over and the channel got less philosophical. And guys, I'm a pretty humble dude in general. But like, guys, I have a PhD in philosophy. I was an academic professor for almost 10 years. I have published multiple peer-reviewed articles. I'm not an idiot. I know what I'm talking about. And back in the day, even before I was hosting, I wrote a lot of the philosophical scripts anyways. But, we're not here for negative energy. We're here for positive energy, because it could always be worse. Yes, Jared from Subway is who we're talking about. Drift King 305 is here. I always like the Drift King checks in from Miami, our official 305 correspondent. Please tell your neighbor Rick Ross that we are huge fans. Now, today, we want to talk about this interview. Jacob Sanchez dropping in 5 memberships. Very, very cool of you to do. We appreciate it. We love gifting memberships, and we love liking the stream. So if you're here, like Lestrem. Dude, how old are you? You live so many lives. Older than I should be. But also, I finished grad school really young because I didn't know what else to do with my life, and I just kept going to school at an erotic pace. And Matthew Jacobs, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So, and we're going to say a prefatory note at the top. In watching an interview with, Don Lemon and Elon Musk, we're not watching it to be like, Don Lemon is good and Elon Musk is bad. They both suck. Like Don Lemon got fired from CNN and probably lost out on millions of dollars because he on live TV with a panel of women was just like, but women do be like that. They're so emotional. Women blah 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 blah. And this panel of women were like, Don, are you really doing like 1960s, friggin' Finger Lakes summer resort put down comic type misogyny? And he just leaned into it. So there you go. And yeah, Matthew Otero is right. I like Jared. I have no problem with Jared at all. I just don't like when people compare me. But if you love Jared Bauer, go check out his channel. He makes videos. So there you go. Blasphemous needs some positive energy. You're really stressed. Hey, take a deep breath. I mean this, Blasphemous. If you're really stressed today, just take a second and just breathe a little bit because that's all we can do. No, it really was like some women be shopping energy that, Don Lemon had. So, we're not here to say that is, we're not here to be like our king Don Lemon, whose takes we all agree with because he's so great. But this interview's nuts. And very, very nuts. I don't know if many of you watched it before. I think even if you've watched some of it before, you will still find some value in watching it now. So, and you get to know a lot of stuff that I think we've been talking about on the channel recently, right? So, there's conversation about what diversity means. There's conversation about the relationship between, free speech and advertising. And actually, Penny Waldrop, yes, my mom is Susan Sarandon, and it's really important to know. I'm guessing Never from Mars. I'm not aware of the context, but I'm willing to bet Tim Heidecker does not really love Don Lemon. I'm very much uh, willing to bet that that is a bit. And Green Shirt, glad to see you here. First time, hopefully a long time. Peter Fager, they did release the full video. Yes, Don Lemon is my king. I did my PhD on Don Lemon.
I just, on top of
Uh,
all the other bad stuff, find it extremely funny he actually wanted a Cybertruck. Like that was one of the demands in his contract for
yeah.
his new X platform show. In addition to all that money,
Oh, sorry guys, I had to blow my nose. Um, let's see. Is Susan Sarandon married to any of her 14 dads? Susan Sarandon had, I can't exactly explain it, but I will say on the night of my conception, Susan Sarandon did play a game, a particular type of Russian roulette with 3 of my dads. Okay, so the interview's wild, and it's a great week for it too because the video that we're getting wrapped up for. Wait, is that coming out next? I
I'm
forget what's coming out
I
when.
believe it's the comedy one, which I've been
Yes,
chopping at this week.
yes. So, you guys probably don't know this. Producer Henry is also editor Henry, and has been finishing a video we have that's on comedy. And and this is the video coming out Friday. The first title was something like "Americans Can't Take a Joke." It's a little bit more. I say it turned into something a little bit more about like how cultural and political shifts affect the way that we perceive comedy, and how looking at the kind of bifurcation of comedy audiences today tells us something about our political culture as a whole. Yeah.
I
Oh, David Duet. That's awesome. Thank you for Central. I don't know Central Committee, so I'm going to say thank you to Central Committee for showing our videos. But then I don't want to like get in trouble because on Twitter the other day, someone hit me up about a podcast, and they were like, Wisecrack should go on this podcast. And I was like, yeah, sounds fun. And then I got all these replies from someone who I've like muted now, who was like, oh, so Wisecrack stands with the IDF? And I was like, wait, what? And they were like, and it was like, you said you would go on this podcast, and the people who are on that podcast said X, Y, and Z. And I was just like, dog, I don't even know what you're talking about. Stop it. And they kept replying, so I muted them. Thanks for being here, guys. Like the stream. But so that video is coming out. And then relative to the Musk thing, today we're filming a video on free speech. I'll tease you guys with that one. It's a video that basically argues that maybe both free speech and democracy, as we currently understand them, are overrated condoms. Okay, my new bit today is anything citizens of civilization. If your degree was any good, then your takes would be better. Jared's new channel has much better takes, and it's a shame he has to rebuild what he built as you skate on his work. So I'll say this: Jared was a great person you're talking about. He left this channel because he wanted to. So I didn't take anything. I've been working at Wisecrack regularly since 2017. So I don't think I'm skating on anyone's work. And I work with a great team, including people like Henry and director Lux and editor, writer, researcher Amanda, producer Olivia, people who have been involved in this channel for a very long time. We make very good work that we're very proud of. And if you don't agree with my takes, that's totally fine. But also remember, our takes are collective. A lot of us work on things together. And also, the funny thing is, I guarantee you, if I said to you, like, what are your 10 favorite videos that Jared hosted? At least like half of them I probably wrote on or researched on anyway. So I don't know. I would just say, like, if you don't like this, just watch something else. There's so much shit on the internet. So much stuff. So how about this, everyone? Let's all give in the chat, recommend a channel for Citizens of Civilization. Citizens of Civilization, or COC. We'll call him Cock. Cock needs a new channel to watch, some new content. This isn't working. So in the chat, we want to be good friends here. Let COC, aka Cock, know what you think they should check out. So there you go. Emo Dragon has just shouted out Wisecrack team member Corrigan Vaughn and her podcast Jack of All Graves. You should check that out if you like horror movies. So, okay, everyone, give us your Cock recommendations. We want to make sure that they have some great stuff to watch because don't just be a cock. Find some good stuff to watch. Because we're here to be friends. Yeah, great. Thank you for all the recommendations. And Cock, I hope you're keeping up on all these. Write them down. Find something great. I want you to love it because I want you to be happy. And Natasha though is standing on some business and saying, no, I'm not going to recommend shit to you. Okay, so let's just get into it because why not? Okay, friends. So give your recommendations to the COC, and then we're gonna watch this interview. We might jump around a bit, but the gist here again is that, and then the context for this as well is Elon Musk, because he's turning X, Twitter, whatever, into the most dominant social platform on the entire internet, gave a deal to Don Lemon to be the left-wing version of Tucker Carlson, who has a Twitter thing. Don Lemon did his first interview with Elon Musk, and his contract was immediately revoked. So here's the interview. We'll probably jump around a bit. I'm going to fast forward because he does a little like intro in his little studio, in his little room. Okay. Let's see if I can find the right point. Here we go. Let's just start here.
World War II.
So I'm here, as you know, I'm on the platform because you say you're a free speech absolutist, right? And there are no conditions.
Yeah. Free speech is as much as possible within the bounds of the law.
Yeah. So the reason I'm saying that is because there are no conditions on this interview. You said that, we'll speak to you for.
And this is, okay, I do like, we don't think Don Lemon's good, but it's kind of funny that he set up the interview. And this is like smart. You could be a total prick and still be a good journalist, I guess, by saying like, so let's just start off with this before the interview. You're a free speech absolutist. Nothing's off limits. And Elon Musk is like, yeah, I'm Mr. Free Speech, which is very funny given where things go.
For an hour. I don't like sound bites, so I welcome that. So let's get into it. So we're here in Austin. South by Southwest is going on. We're at the Tesla headquarters. You are in the process of moving SpaceX here, I understand?
No. SpaceX has a massive facility in South Texas where we build and launch Starship, and then we have in Bastrop near Austin.
I'm going to fast forward a little bit because we don't care about rockets.
X has also been affected by that. Where do you see X.com's role in the future of news and journalism, Elon?
Well, I think I see the X as it's already the number one source of news in the world. So
I don't know if that's a verifiable fact. If X is the number one source of news in the entire world, guys, we're in trouble.
Yeah, that feels Twitter maybe 3 to 4 years ago, maybe, but
Yeah.
it's been completely hollowed out by pussy and bio bots. I don't even
Seriously, there's so much pussy in bio.
yeah, even the fun side of journalism, like culture reviews and stuff, just like because of the general like fleeing from the site and all the layoffs, like the conversations are dying.
Yeah, and a lot of like major news sources have left. A lot of journalists have left that platform. So I don't know what the metric is to say that that is the number one source of news. But he makes a lot of grand claims. So let's let him keep going.
So it is number one, the number one way that people actually are informed about any kind of news, meaning real-time events, is
any kind of news, meaning real-time events. That's an interesting definition.
On the X platform, formerly Twitter. There's nothing even close for real-time news. So
Shifting Tide says he has many dollars, so I
we also want
believe
to
him.
expand upon that, and we have done so with long-form content. So instead of just doing what used to be called tweets, you can now do long-form posts. You can post an entire essay. In fact, you can now post an entire book to the platform. You can do long-form video.
You can post a book on Twitter. Think about the only type of person that's going to post a book on Twitter is going to go post a book on Twitter before they do a crime that's going to make national news. I'll say no more than that.
I'm even a fan of long form like interviews and like media. I'll sit down and watch like a 3-hour YouTube essay. Twitter as a platform is just not good for watching videos. Like you have to like if you're gonna pause or walk away or like keep track of it, it doesn't have any of the features that like enhance or help that.
Yeah, I mean it's so interesting too because the Twitter as a platform is good at a very particular thing, and it's one of those things that like doesn't need to be better, and it's never needed to be better. It's never needed to be improved in terms of features because it does a thing. And I do kind of think, like, for example, the thing about me is I hate restaurants with large menus. Like a restaurant that has too many things on the menu. What I especially hate is a restaurant where the menu has distinct cuisines on one menu. Because you know that they're not going to be good. But I know if I go to some place and they just have like a few things, they're probably going to be pretty good because I know they just do that thing really well. And that's what Twitter has turned into. It used to do one thing really well. Now it does that thing poorly, and it does a number of other things poorly as well. So it's just one place that does a lot of stuff not well, which is a bummer.
Yeah, Matthew Roeder in the chat asking if he knew he was going to get fired for doing this. I sort of do subscribe to that conspiracy theory, but we'll talk more about that as the interview plays out.
Yeah, he just kind of went down with it. I might agree with that. Okay, let's see.
Your content, you can do up to 4-hour video segments.
4 hours.
We really want news in whatever form it is, or information, I should say, in whatever form it is.
He keeps redefining news. First, he says it's events as they happen in real time. Now it's any form of information is news.
Is to be available on our platform, whether it's short, long, text, pictures, video, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and some of the stuff that we do, long-form video, interview shows, what have you.
Yeah.
You reached out over the summer and you said, it would be great to have Maddo, Don Lemon, others on the left put on this platform. You received full support. The digital town square is for all. What do you mean by that?
Well, I just mean that we want to make sure that there are a wide variety of viewpoints, that it's we always have, for example, Tucker Carlson, who most people will view as being on the right, that's quite a prominent name on the right. We want to have
shouts to Tucker Carlson,
prominent names on the left as well.
Russia's #1 boy.
Why would anyone think he's right wing?
As well as centrist. Just basically a wide range of viewpoints on the platform, so users can hear.
Ronan Youngblood said, "How long this finna be?"
What's your point of view? What's Tucker's point of view? And people can make their own decision about what they believe.
You didn't mean that I'm on the left? Did you think that?
I thought you were on the left, but yeah. I don't know. Well, let's just say
the smartest man in the world thinks that Don Lemon is a leftist. And here's what scares me. I mean, we'll get into this a little bit more, but it does scare me that for a lot of people, Elon Musk still represents a certain type of, domineering, multifaceted intellect. I just think of him as like inverted penis Tony Stark or something. But like, I just don't know if he's that smart, and I don't know why we still think that he's so smart. And it's concerning that many people listen to this man speak, and what they see is like a glowing intellect. Yeah. That is so smart that it can barely be contained by speech. And the reason why sometimes he says dumb stuff is because he is like, his brain is just a thin membrane that's unable to hold the divine intelligence that resides inside.
Left unsupervised, he just will steal Onion headlines or look at pictures of Batman and go, literally me.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Thank you for being here, everyone. Please like the stream if you haven't already. It helps us out a lot, and we really appreciate it.
I don't know what the left is, frankly, these days, because things can be quite polarized. But my impression was that you're more likely to be described as on the left than the right. My sense is you're sort of center left. I don't know. You tell me.
Well, did you ever watch me on CNN, or did you watch?
I saw I saw segments. But CNN is generally considered left.
Yeah, CNN is like.
Why do you say that?
Communist news network.
Why do I say CNN is generally considered left?
Because it's just.
I think if you look at any sort of media survey of what is on the left or right, I think they would say, like, for example, Fox is on the right and CNN is.
He does this thing where, and I'm sure we all know someone like this. You could be having an argument with them or a conversation, and they'll just say, like, studies actually show X, or like, the percentage of blank is this, and they never attribute it to anything, and they do it in such a way that it's like, I have access to a data point that means that I don't have to be rhetorically persuasive. You know what I'm talking about, Henry? Like that sort of move?
Yeah, like, trust me, I know. I can't tell you right now, but I know. Also, we passed 666.
Oh, wow, we did it. 666. Mark of the Beast, Mark of the Beast. Get on your knees, Jesus Christ. 666. This segment is brought to you by Satan. To be clear, I don't believe that there's a real thing that's called Satan. It's funny to yell 666, but as you saw from recent streams, I'm actually a pretty big fan of many of the philosophical and ethical elements of Christianity. So, but I still got to say 666. There's a person in the office today as well who just heard that. Someone who I think has the ability to hire, fire, promote, raise. So pray for me, and pray for me, whoever you want. Satan, God, whatever. Let's just say that Satan represents freedom. Freedom from domineering theological systems, and we're just here to be free together. Whether we do that through Satan, Barney the dinosaur, or Sabrina the teenage witch. So there we go. Thank you for all. And if you're a member, you have access to emotes, and you have a 666 emote. There you go. Yeah, Zach Johnson says Christ and Satan are homies. I know every time we do this, I end up bothering or offending someone, so I'm so sorry. But we have fun. We have fun. Like the stream if you haven't. Let's keep watching. I would love to hear Elon Musk talk about God.
It's on the left.
Yeah. So that's what is it?
Am I missing something here?
Okay. Are you missing something?
I
don't know. I think that when I read that, I said, like many of my critics or detractors, they never really watched me on CNN. They just saw the clips of me either on social media or maybe on Fox News or in conservative media, where it's sort of where I've become a character or a caricature of what I actually am, and it's taken out of context.
Sure. Well, how would you describe yourself?
I would describe myself as someone who is I am independent in
He's like us. He's not political.
my thinking, and I vote for people based on the issues and how I feel about it, not necessarily because of political leaning of some sort.
Well, I agree with that approach. I think that's generally how people should take things.
Did we get to 666 likes, guys?
There are a whole
I'm going to
set of
sacrifice a
issues which
ram
are
live on this.
somewhat arbitrarily bucketed into right or left. But I think
A member of the Los
most
Angeles Rams.
citizens would think that they would agree with some things on the left, but not everything, or they agree on some things on the right, but not everything.
Let's we get. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit because I know it gets kind of cooking in a bit, but I forget the exact point. Let's see.
X is going through some changes. As I said, a lot of media companies are going through some changes. You're in charge of an incredible platform, Elon. How do you feel that's going?
How do you feel that's
it's
going?
Pretty well so far. We're seeing record usage. We've added a tremendous amount of functionality. I mentioned that it used to be that you could only do short text and maybe
Which is what we wanted.
something like that. Short
That's
video.
all we wanted. All we
but
wanted
now
from
you can do long form text, long form video.
No one wants it.
We've added audio video calling.
No one. Who wants to make a call on Twitter? No one.
You can not just do text DMs. You can do audio video calling. We've improved the algorithm, I think, significantly.
When he says we improved the algorithm significantly, I tweeted about this recently. I can't even find people on there. If I want to tag a friend and I type in their name, their username in the little bar, it shows me a bunch of blue check accounts of people I've never heard of in my life. I can't even find people I've interacted with on that platform for a decade. Their algorithm sucks.
And made the system faster and better, and that's reflected in the increased usage.
So let's talk about that, because you said you wanted all points of view, right?
What's up,
it's
Eddie?
a digital town square for all.
Yeah.
It's the platform has kind of picked up where some conservative media has left off. That moving to the right, increasingly becoming part of a conservative dialogue, and sometimes even conspiracy theories, right? There was an article recently written about you saying that you, Donald Trump, and X were the most important people or places or whatever icons when it comes to the MAGA movement. Do you agree with that? How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, there are nonsense articles written all the time, and I certainly wouldn't agree with that one. I put it in the nonsense category.
I like this too. So he has all these sources he cites to say that he's the best boy ever. And then if an article says something he doesn't like, he's like, oh yeah, but there's also nonsense articles.
So the objective fact of the matter, in my opinion, was that old Twitter was fundamentally a tool of the far left. And that was really, I think, a lot of it was due to being located in San Francisco, Berkeley. And so
I like this idea too that Twitter, which is a platform with an international user base, is far left because its corporate headquarters are located in San Francisco, a city most notable for like, I don't know, like kicking poor people out of houses and building housing so expensive no one else can live there. A real leftist bastion. But yeah, it's a weird quality confusion, and he gets into this a little bit. Like, it's just so weird. It's like saying that like, oh, the corporate headquarters of 7-Eleven are in Stockholm, so everyone that drinks Slurpees likes Nordic style social democracy or something.
It wanted to project the SF Berkeley political dogma worldwide.
You think it was far left?
Yes, I do.
I used to get, I actually got off the platform because I would get so much hate tweets when it was called in, so much hate tweets and just guff from right-wing conspiracy theorists being called everything from, you know, fag to
Sure. It's
nigger
the
to
internet,
everything.
you know. That people will do. I mean, I've been called every name.
I like when Don Lemon says he's been called the F word and the N word, and then Elon goes, "Yeah, sure. I mean, I've been called every name too. Have you been called those? Have you?"
Times 1,000.
Yeah. Do you agree that,
Like, and he said times 1,000. He's basically like, hate speech towards me is worse than you, Don
that it's
Lemon.
right now and that even
No.
it's moved into sort of MAGA
No,
land of
I
conspiracy
don't.
theory?
I certainly don't think it's right. The
Stick around for his takes on slavery. We're going to get there. They're great.
the old school Twitter suspended and suppressed accounts that you'd call on the right 10 times more than they did accounts on the left. And even when they did suspend an account on the left, it was because of arguments between two people on the left. The political donations of old Twitter were
I mean, also too, like, why this new desire to frame everything via political bifurcation is so weird. That like, I guess you could say that one's like voting records lean a particular way, or that one's political participation lean a particular way. But to take a social platform, most of which is people posting like dumb jokes, memes, articles to check out, links to a song or a video they like, asking a dumb question about cinema history, sharing weird takes about a movie, um, superimposing Timothy Chalamet's face into historical events. Like, that's the sort of stuff that people are normally doing on this platform. And then somehow wanting to categorize all those things into buckets of left or right is very weird. And I don't think it's a very helpful way to analyze society or culture, but I think it's something we're doing more and more. You know, I was thinking about this with, yeah, Logan with some great comments in there. But you know, I really loved the Some More News video last week about the Daily Wire. If you haven't watched it yet, check it out. The TLDR is that most of the people involved in Daily Wire's media production side are just failed actors and writers who are now trying to make content because no one else would let them do it. But one of the underlying assumptions in that world is that like we have to make right-wing content because all the other content is left-wing. And it's like, no, there's not. Like, maybe like just because Quinta Brunson might have gone to a fundraiser for a progressive candidate doesn't mean that like Abbott Elementary is left. It's just a TV show, you know? Clara Bison says my take is pretty center left. Oh no. Nobody puts baby in a corner. Nobody. Thanks for we're at 777, so praise Christ. We're at 777. That's when we pray to God. Bless us, Father, as we stream. And I'm a lot. That wasn't me mocking. Okay, I'm baptized and confirmed Catholic. I can do that.
1990. Does that sound left?
Oh wait, so this is a wild take too. It says that Twitter as a platform was leftist because the people who worked at it, most of their political donations, he says they're 99% Democrat. But even if we're going to look at it from a perspective of like, if you are someone that works for a tech company, you live in a major city like San Francisco, and you have the money to give political donations, and you're in one of the bluest cities, one of the bluest states in the country, demographically, of course, most of the donations are probably going to go to Democratic candidates. But like, they're probably giving that money to fucking Nancy Pelosi. You know what I mean? Not like the ghost of Che Guevara.
Red left. You.
The Twitter donations?
Yes. Like from a company. If a company donates literally 99% of all.
I mean, and he does this thing where he takes data that has nothing to do with the thing he's talking about, but uses that to try to prove his point. Why do people think he's smart? Honestly, I just want to know.
Are to Democrats. Does that strike you as a left-leaning or a right-leaning
Oh, you mean the
company?
company donated? I understand what you're
What
saying.
I'm trying to tell you is that Twitter employees, people at Twitter, their political donations were 99%, literally 99%, to Democrats. That's obviously an extremely left-leaning group.
My question leading into this was about MAGA. And speaking of MAGA, you recently met with Donald Trump in Florida. What did
That's
you
kind
guys
of boring.
talk
I'm gonna
about?
skip for a little bit.
Donald Trump's coming by for breakfast. Is that
He just has like breakfast with Donald Trump.
President Trump?
And he's still not answering.
Well, I'll voice my opinion. I think I don't want to put a thumb on the scale monetarily.
Oh, he was asked about who will support in the upcoming election.
That is, significant.
Are you going to loan him money to help pay his bills?
No,
Not at all. Pay his legal bills.
I'm not paying his legal bills in any way, shape, or form.
And he did not ask you for money.
And he did not ask me for money.
Are you going to? So you're not.
Oh yeah,
gonna
Mr.
endorse-
Demino in the chat even pointed out like he looked at all his employees' political donations. Yeah, like that's crazy too. He bought a company and then went through everyone's political donations that worked for the company. That's insane.
a candidate.
I may, in the final stretch, endorse a candidate, but I don't know yet. I want to make a considered decision.
Why should he have
before
any-
the
oh,
election? And if I do decide to endorse a candidate, then I will explain exactly why.
Are you leaning towards anyone?
No.
You're not leaning towards anyone because you've been.
Let me say I'm leaning away from Biden.
You're leaning.
I've made no secret of that.
Nice little evil laugh.
Are you concerned about losing your security clearance if Biden is reelected? Does that have anything to do with it?
All I know about security clearances is Oppenheimer.
No.
Or
You are
from
leaning
Oppenheimer.
away from Biden, but you're not going to endorse anyone. It seems like an endorsement of President Trump because there are only two people who are running now.
If you're
Nikki
tuning in,
Haley
please
is
like
out.
the stream. It
It
helps us a
happen
lot.
between now and the
I owe
election.
you if you
so
do.
we'll see who, in the final analysis, are the choices for president.
I think we know
and
who they're going to be.
At that point, I may or may not endorse one of the candidates. If I do, I will provide
It kind of scares me that this person could help swing an election. Maybe he couldn't. Maybe I'm overstating that, but
a
that's
very detailed explanation of why I am endorsing one or the other.
At that point, might you contribute or donate?
I think it's unlikely.
So you have been posting up a storm, as you always do in the past couple weeks, about the redesign of the Tesla Roadster.
I'm
coming
gonna
at
skip
the
this
end of
part. I
year.
don't care about the car.
We have, I think, over 1 million orders for the Cybertruck.
I don't care at all.
So, look, I don't want to give away, much more than what I've said publicly, except that the Roadster will be.
I don't care.
It's not out of the question.
Go on.
No, I gotta reserve the cool stuff for the, when we actually unveil it. But it's SpaceX and Tesla technology
Sorry, just trying to skip
create
on the
something that's
car
not
stuff.
0 to 60 in under 1 second. So
I don't care.
no, it does not have big wings, because big wings would be unwieldy. It'll have a drive by.
Tesla, you got a lot of lawsuits. You've got X.com. You got a lot going on. How do you relax?
Well,
How do you relax?
I relax. I spend time with my kids, my friends, and I, make somewhat of a
Posting.
nerd technologist. So I like playing video games. So I'll play video games with friends online.
Which one?
And lately I've been playing Diablo, but I've played almost all the games over the years.
all the
A long time ago,
what
I
games
was
do you like? All of them.
semi-pro good at Quake. This is really dating me, because we're talking about like 125 years ago.
I don't know video games. I just know that my my great nephew loves Fortnite.
I'm skipping ahead of it.
The nice thing is if you've got friends in different. Well, I guess I do enjoy using the platform. I mean, I do call the X platform the PvP, or player versus player platform.
So weird.
video
That's such a
games,
weird
there's,
framing.
Player versus environment, where you're not playing against other people, and then there's PvP, which is like hardcore. You're actually playing against other people, and
But that's blowing off steam for you.
yeah,
Yes.
it is to some degree, not always. I mean, obviously I use it for to post jokes, to post
His
you
jokes
know,
rip.
sometimes trivia, sometimes things that are of
I like how he says he posts trivia, but most of his posts are just like someone has his post that says something like the Jews control the media, and he comments like looking into this must be true. Like fun trivia,
great
dog.
importance.
So you do a
And I
lot
think
of it at night, like late at night. So when you're doing this, are you sober when you do it?
Almost
Are you
always, yes.
under the influence of anything?
No, I don't drink. I don't really. No.
So you got no drink, no smoke, no nothing. I mean, you smoke pot with Rogan.
I had one puff.
Yeah.
I think anyone who smokes pot can tell I don't know how to smoke pot.
But you've admitted
That's
that
true.
you have a ketamine prescription.
Yeah.
What's that for?
Well, I mean, it's pretty private to ask somebody about a medical prescription, you know. But I think it's
I feel like we should skip the ketamine segment. What do you think, Henry? It's kind of boring.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
it's like we know he does ketamine, like it's been answered,
Yeah.
and then from here he just kind of flounders.
Yeah.
there are several
Thanks for if you're just tuning in again. This is Wisecrack Live. I'm Michael Burns here with producer Henry. We're going through this interview, Don Lemon and Elon Musk. To be clear, we're not watching because we think Don Lemon's good or Elon Musk is good or bad or whatever. We think they're bad. Let's be honest. But it's gonna get real. It's just getting crazier from here. We're about to really hit some stuff. So thanks for being in the chat. Thank you so much to our lords of the chat who've been gifting some membership. It means a ton to us. Thank you so much. As always, feel free to check out our Patreon if you haven't already. We have a new $1 level where if you don't have a lot of money but you want to support what we're doing, you can do that. It means a lot. Put out a new video yesterday on our Patreon. This is at all the $5 and up levels, where I broke down one of my favorite passages from Kierkegaard's Two Ages, a little 10-minute philosophy quick hit for you. And I think we're going to start a book club, our reading group type thing on our Patreon. So, even if you don't have the money right now, you could subscribe to the Patreon and see when that comes up and go from there. So check it. Let's keep going.
weeks will go by.
I don't care about
I think
ketamine.
it's getting out of a depressed, not a common thing. I'm generally pretty positive and optimistic, but once in a while, I don't know, that's pretty good. It's because I thought maybe this is something that's why I mentioned.
Right.
I have a very strong bias to, at least everything I've read, it's a very strong bias to vote Democrat. The more that come into the country, the more they're likely to vote in that direction. But it is.
Oh, so the question. So okay, I'm gonna rewind a little bit to get Lemon set up here and find it.
The things that you post, a great replacement theory. You claim that Democrats, President Biden's immigration plan to open up the border, you said that the president is getting, and Democrats are doing it to get more votes. But undocumented
Gareth
immigrants
Gay,
cannot
how do I
vote in
skip
federal
you
elections,
asking
so how
for
is that
cash?
possible?
You can skip me asking for cash as soon as I'm not worried that we're not gonna survive. I don't know. I get it. I hate it too. So, Gareth, listen, I'm on your team here. I just want to have a job still.
Right. Well, you're conflating two things. One is great replacement theory. The other is, which I don't subscribe to that. I'm simply saying that there is an incentive here. If legal immigrants, which I think have a very strong bias to, at least everything I've read, it's a very strong bias to vote Democrat. The more that come into the country, the more they're likely to vote in that direction. But
Allie's experience on
view,
ketamine seems intense.
A simple incentive to increase Democrat voters.
And just to be clear, when talking about great replacement theory, and I'm by no means an expert on this, but it's the basic idea that's often spread by white supremacists that people, immigrants, people from other countries, other cultures, we're getting them to America to replace whites. This was said at every basic main stage of mass American immigration. It's like, oh, even back in the day, it was like the dumb Irish, the Italians, the Jews, the Polish, and then nowadays it's people from Central and South America that they're coming to replace the whites, and that they're going to vote out everyone else. It's not the best, and we'll let them keep talking about it, but not the best.
And yeah, so the question is how. So there's a few ways that this works. One is that when the census is done, the census is based on all people in an area, whether they are citizens or not. So if there are a concentration of
he explains how
people who
just
came here
letting people
illegally in a particular state or in a particular state, that state will actually then get an increased number of House seats. So the House seat apportionment is proportionate to the number of people, not the number of citizens. So the illegals overwhelmingly go to
the illegals.
places like California and New York, and if you just look at the math, if you look at the apportionment with and without illegals, I believe California would lose. I believe the blue state, there would be a net loss of blue states of approximately 20 seats in the House. This also applies to the Electoral College. So you say, like, well, this also applies to electing the president, because the electoral votes are also done by apportionment the same way that House seats are done.
But the reason, Elon, the Electoral College is in place is to balance that, is so that doesn't happen. So what you're saying about it is the exact opposite of the reason why the Electoral College is there. The Electoral College at this point, in our history, gives people who are in smaller states and red states much more of an influence over our elections than people who are in blue states, and the majority of the people in this country.
And I think the basic gist he's making here, and Henry, you might know more about this. I mean, people in the chat, you might know more about this, so please jump in. Is that, isn't it like relative to population that some of the larger states, which are blue states, have a smaller proportion of individual population to representatives than some of the smaller states? Because everyone gets two, you know what I'm saying?
Everyone gets 2 senators, and then representatives are doled out by population. One of the major things Elon's just totally missing out here is that, like, population will determine how many representatives someone is eligible, like a county is or a state is eligible for, but like people still need to vote for those chairs, so Republicans can still get in. Those unregistered voters who aren't being counted for the population aren't necessarily going to register and vote. If they're not citizens, they can't register and vote. So it's not what he's saying.
Yeah. Yeah, in the chat, Peter Fager says my vote in California is less impactful than someone in Wyoming because they have to have at least 1 rep and 2 senators. California, this is from Alex49, is underrepresented in the Electoral College and underrepresented in the House. Justin Cook says California has the same number of representatives as Idaho. What a smart chat. Thank you so much for being here. Matthew Jacobs gets into this as well. Oh, we went past 888. I don't know what we do at 888. I said I was going to go streaking. I don't think I'm going to go streaking. So, you know, I don't know. I could go streaking later. I could go streaking later and film it and put it on my OnlyFans. 888's great. You know, if 666 is Satan, 777 is Christ, 888 is the synthetic unification of good and evil, dark and light in one dynamic dialectical force that undergirds all being and thought. It is the principle of negation and opposition in our subjectivity and our consciousness that drives things forward. It is the Hegelian form of life that motivates all things. Okay, Obi, I get it. We do weird shit at 888. You know, what would weird be? I'll take a whole bottle of pills and see what happens. I'm kidding. I won't. That will be bad. No overdosing live on stream. We know when you get Dome. We're at 9:04.
We're close to Dome.
So yeah, Dome is in play. Okay, I think that's why, you know, it's a little weird. So like the stream, maybe we'll get Dome. 999 will get. Never mind. I almost said something that would be bad. Let's get back to it.
The Electoral College does the exact opposite of what you're saying. It protects people who are in smaller states and protects people who are in red states.
Well,
the red states, because they tend to be smaller and less populous.
I think that statement is what you said is true, but what I said is also true, which is that.
What a fun guy to talk to. He says a thing, you directly show why it doesn't make sense, and he's like, what you said is true, but what I said is also true.
If, as is the case, a disproportionate number of legal immigrants go to blue states, they amplify the effect of a blue state vote. And the math, as I understand it, you can research this obviously very easily on there. It's like it's pretty straightforward to research this. But my understanding is that there would be that the Democrats would lose approximately 20 seats in the House if illegals were not counted in the census, and that's also 20 less electoral votes for president. So the illegals absolutely do affect the who controls the House and who controls the presidency. It does not affect the Senate.
Yeah. In blue states, you're talking about. I
Yes.
don't believe that your information on that is right. So listen, let's talk more about the Great Replacement, because the first time that you posted on X about this Jewish conspiracy, you ended up
I
apologizing.
didn't call it a conspiracy. I just said that there's a simple matter of incentives. You don't need a conspiracy when you have basic incentives. In my view, there's a basic incentive that is fundamental that for the Democrat Party to foster and usher in a large number of illegals. And you don't need a conspiracy in that case because you have a very basic incentive. You could say I'm wrong about that incentive.
That's so weird to say that it's not a conspiracy if there is a logical incentive to do this thing, so that any any conspiracy where we can identify that is not a conspiracy.
But
I
that's
don't know.
my view. I'm not buying into. I didn't buying some great replacement theory. I'm simply saying there appears to be a very clear incentive for Democrats to maximize.
This reminds me when people are like, I'm not being racist here, guys. I'm simply saying, if you look at crime statistics, certain people are more likely to do certain things. And of course, you guys get why that's not a good thing to say. If you don't, we can talk about it. I'm sure someone in the chat can tell you why that's problematic. But to me, this reminds me of that.
Number of illegal, because it helps them win elections.
I'm talking about the Great Replacement theory is also part of a Jewish conspiracy theory. And when you did the tweet, or you responded to the tweet about that, you ended up apologizing.
I'm going to pause so we can I want to read the tweet that he says, "You have said the actual truth. Jewish community has been pushing the exact kind of dialectical hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them. I'm deeply disinterested in giving the tiniest shit now about Western Jewish populations coming." Like, dog. That is pretty wild. Also, keep the word dialectical out of your mouth, artist formerly known as Eric. You know what the fuck you're talking about.
And I think it's good that you ended up apologizing. You went to Auschwitz with
Oh,
Ben
what's
Shapiro.
up?
Yeah.
Sayasa,
So you
Sayasa.
said you
Old
learned
friend,
your
good to
lesson.
see
What did
you.
you learn?
I said I learned my lesson.
You said you learned your lesson when you apologized, and you said you went to Auschwitz. You saw what.
No, I was already aware of.
I like how if you do an anti-Semitism, you just gotta like touch Auschwitz and you're good. It's like a magical healing crystal. Like one does an anti-Semitism, but you and Ben Shapiro go to Auschwitz
I
and bask in its healing energy, and your anti-Semitism is forgiven.
I mean, Jonathan Glazer went and made his movie there, and yeah.
Doesn't count.
Yeah.
Doesn't count. It's different. It's different. Hold on. Let's see.
That is
Okay.
another point towards just the straw man that is like being scared of a leftist Hollywood. Just look at what's been going on in the news, guys.
Yeah, I don't. That one's maybe. How about this? Well, maybe if we survive into the second hour of the show, maybe we'll talk about Jonathan Glazer and see if I can not get fired.
Of these things. And the nature of my comment that really inflamed people, what I was trying to say, and I did very quickly clarify, this is what I'm saying.
I'm gonna just make one more statement here too. This is unasked for life advice with Michael. This is what you get when we get into the 900s. Never trust someone who can't be like, oh, you know what? I shouldn't have said that. Or my bad. I got a little hot that day and said something differently. Like, I would say that every single day of my life, I misphrase something, I overstate something, I misunderstand something, I say something that I think is funny, but that's not funny and is maybe too much. I'm insensitive towards someone I care about every day of my life. And I think that, in truly intelligent people, and this is going to sound like a flex. Maybe it is. I've been lucky in my life to spend time with I'd say some of the smartest people on the planet. Especially when I was in academia, I got to hang out with some like philosophers and theorists who are like incredibly smart. And I think that like the smarter people got up the ladder, I found that the more they listened, the kinder they were, the more they were curious about others. And I found that, especially in a world like academia, people at the lower levels who were trying to posture were often the cruelest, the most unkind, and the most insensitive. So I don't know. Let's keep going.
Is that a number of prominent Jewish philanthropists fund groups that they should really take a closer look at funding, because some of the groups they fund, I think, are anti-Semitic.
Name three of the groups. Name three of them.
Do you understand the connection between the two? There's a connection between, you said Democrats, the Great Replacement Theory, but when it comes to the actual Great Replacement Theory, originally it was started about Jewish people, as you said, flooding in the country, and then now people are using it for Democrats, saying the same thing about Democrats.
That face.
Flooding.
In my view, it's a simple matter of incentives.
Yeah.
I actually don't see an incentive for Jewish people to want to have get legal immigration. I don't think there is such an incentive.
This like incentive logic is so weird.
Replacement theory is a neo-Nazi trope. It's in the neo-Nazi manifesto. It's in the Turner Diaries. It's referenced by the Buffalo mass shooter in his manifesto, where 10 people, black people, were murdered in Buffalo. There's the actual title of the Christchurch shooters manifesto. 51 people in the Muslim mosque were murdered. 23 people murdered in El Paso by a shooter who used the same language that you use in that manifesto when you say Hispanic invasion. Is that not?
I didn't say an Hispanic invasion.
And you quoted a tweet that called it a Hispanic invasion.
Now it'd be a good band name if you have some friends, and you are of Latinx origin. Maybe starting a punk band called Hispanic Invasion would be sick.
Quote something. It doesn't mean I agree with everything in it. It's just something that I think this is something worth people should consider.
Why would you quote something that you didn't believe in?
Because anything I quote is going to have a whole range of statements. Doesn't mean I agree with everything in it.
Do you think if you moderated yourself more, if there was better content moderation?
Okay, and we get cooking here again. We're getting to the halfway point of the show of this. The moderation stuff is great. And let me stop and just say this for a second. Again, the video we're filming today, which will be coming out next week, is on free speech, democracy, moderation, things like that. And I think some clips from this interview will make that video. Henry, how you doing?
The Hispanic invasion stuff just rubs me wrong, because I'm a Hispanic person from El Paso, Texas, and just any study of U.S. history in the Southwest, and you will find missions and all kinds of Spanish and Mexican history and artifacts well north of what's the current Mexican border. I wonder why.
Yeah. Who knows? Christopher A says, "Bro, stop calling us Latinx." I don't know. I'm just trying to be a good white and say the right thing. Someone said, so we don't say. So what, Henry, as Latino, what does one say now? I'm just gonna be the dumb old white guy now.
So in college, I had some Hispanic or some Chicano cinema courses and stuff where we talked about this kind of thing a lot. I sit well with Latino.
Yeah.
I mean, Latinx does seem kind of cold or academic, or just like white people trying to like classify a thing without prior knowledge.
Yeah.
I do get kind of
That's good to
particular.
know.
Yeah, I do get kind of particular in the difference between like Hispanic and Latino, because especially in New Mexico, there are blocks of population that are very insistent on being like Hispanic or white passing, or insisting they're more European than Mexican. So that becomes kind of an argument of contention down there.
Yeah.
But
No,
I'm
this is-
fine
this
with
is why I
Latino.
should- Yeah. Good. I should listen. I'm gonna do the weird thing now. I'm like, one of my best friend's Colombian, and at one point I was like, "Oh, Latinx," and he was like, "Dog, what are you doing?" He was like, "We didn't ask for this." He was like, "I was at the committee meeting. We did not ask you guys to do this." Someone said Los Angeles sounds so British. Yeah, no, it's so many traditional, traditional European city names like Los Angeles. Okay, let's keep going.
That you wouldn't have to answer these questions from reporters about the Great Replacement Theory as it relates to
I don't have to
Democrats,
answer these
the
questions.
Great Replacement
I
Theory
don't
as
have
it
to answer
relates
these
to
questions.
Jewish people. Do you think that?
I don't have to answer questions from reporters. Don, the only reason I'm doing this interview is because you're on the X platform and you asked for it. Otherwise, I would not do this interview.
So you don't think do you think that you wouldn't get in trouble or you wouldn't be criticized for these things?
I'm
or that
criticized
there-
constantly. I could care less.
you don't care.
No, I don't.
Why
care.
not?
I don't think people should care what the media thinks about them. They're terrible judges of character.
Even someone who has one of the biggest social media and biggest information platforms in the world, you don't care, you don't think that you have any X.com or you have any responsibility to the truth or moderating the platform?
You're conflating the truth with the media, and I think the media is not truthful.
Well, not with just the media. I mean, just the truth in general.
I care about the truth very much. That's why we have, for example, community notes on the X system, where
Community notes fix it all.
in order for a community note to surface and provide corrective information about what somebody posts, and my posts are equally subject to this. I've been community noted many times. In order for a community note to surface, people who have historically disagreed must agree in order for a community note to surface. And all of
Also, no one, and this is backing up a little bit, no one fully doesn't care what people think about them. People that truly don't care what people don't think about them are way less defensive than this guy.
community notes is open source. All of the data
Let me know in the chat if you don't care. If you're like the sort of person who really truly doesn't care what people think about you. You know, if you're the sort of person where you hear someone's like, oh, someone said you are kind of an asshole. Someone said you're not as funny as you think you are. Someone said you're whatever. I just want to know what it's like psychologically to truly not care what others think about you. I want to get there.
is open source, completely recreated from scratch. The way to build trust is transparency.
I have noticed community notes. I think that you are right about that, and I do think community notes are helpful. I think any type of content moderation, I do think that's helpful. You recently called content moderation, though, a digital chastity belt. Do you think that you believe that
Digital
X
chastity
and
belt.
you have some responsibility to moderate hate speech on the platform?
I think we have a responsibility to adhere to the law, and we have a responsibility to be transparent about when things are shown, why they're shown. That's why we open source our algorithm.
I'm curious in the chat, like what do people in general think about moderation? You know what I mean? I like what Drift King 305 says. It's not about caring or not caring, it's how you react to it. That's really nice. Deck Glenn doesn't care because it doesn't matter. Honeyman cares to the point of neurosis. I see you, Honeyman. We see each other. But I'm curious what we think about moderation, right? Because, you know, as someone who's been banned from Twitter before, or for retweeting something about how that Richmond, North of Richmond song was the #1 song in the world, and I reposted it and said, I want a MS. Oh, wait, yeah. And I got banned for like 6 months. But what do we, extraneous has been banned. I don't, that idea that like anything goes, that there shouldn't be moderation, you know, I wonder what people think about that. And then we have a video coming out on this. So I've been thinking about this quite a bit, but I'm curious what folks think. If we want like an anything goes type platform, or if there's a world where moderation is possible. We'll let Elon keep talking.
I think once you start going beyond the law, now you're putting your thumb on the scale. And we don't want to put our thumb on the scale.
It doesn't concern you that hate speech has gone. Research shows that it's gone up on the platform since you took over. That's not concerning to you?
I believe that is false. In fact, the research that I've seen says it.
Okay, so this is, and I know this because they did a study. So for the video we're filming today, the computer science department at the University of Southern California, which is I think over there from where I am currently, did a study on hate speech and anti-Semitism and racism on X/Twitter. They used a bunch of algorithms, had scientists from like 3 different universities working on this. And it shows pretty conclusively that hate speech did increase drastically after he took over. So him denying this right now is like, there are pretty good data sets to show this. His defense is really fun. That comes in a second.
Went down.
A study from the Institute of Strategic Dialogue found that anti-Semitic tweets doubled from June 22 to February 2023. One study reported that as many as 86% of the posts reported for hateful content remained up after being reported. Hate speech on the platform is up.
So what they will typically do is they will count the number of posts, but not count the number of views. So what matters is, was that post given high visibility, or what did like one person see it? And if you look at the number of views,
I just posted a thing about that study
How
in the
many times
chat.
was hate content viewed on our platform? It is down substantially.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, so that's wild. So I think I'm curious what you all think about that. His argument there is, even though there's more hate speech posts, less people are seeing those, so hate speech is down. I don't love that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to like have to wade through that.
It's still there.
Yeah, it's still like on your platform, dude.
I think.
Oh, sorry, Andrew. Go.
Oh, I just on a note on moderation. I think the mechanisms of moderation need to be seen by more people, just so they can understand like how bad it would be with less moderation. I used to know people that they quit this job, but they used to work for Facebook, looking at flagged content, and it would give severe mental trauma. People would have to like go get help after doing that job because of just like how much like horrible shit they have to sit there and look through.
Yeah. So I hope I get this name right. I'm pretty sure it's Max Fisher, who. Wait 1 second. Um, let's see. Um, sorry. Max Fisher's Chaos Machine. In the book, they literally talk about how what Henry's just describing, like people that work in moderation, were caused hella trauma. Not good stuff. So I laughed because I did look at our Twitter account and I retweeted the stream and said, if we hit 1,000, you get raw dome. And someone responded with, man, that statement confirms y'all ain't got no black people working back there. Because what? Listen. Like I said, I'm a horrible white. Oops, I clicked the wrong button. Let's get back to the.
Do you like show you this and
Don, you can get a study that will tell you whatever you want.
Oh, I love that. You can get a study that will tell you whatever you want. So we start with logic like that, and you never have to take anything seriously. Because Don, you get a study that tells you whatever you want, Don. You get a study that tells you hot dogs are good for you, Don. You get a study that tells you the Boeing airplanes are safe, Don. Don, you get anything you want, Don.
These are just, you look at those anti-Semitic and racist tropes.
He just like shows him
and
wildly anti-Semitic shit.
On X.
And he's like,
and from your own content policy, these posts should have been deleted. So why haven't they been deleted? Why are they still there? Did you?
We delete things if they are illegal.
But these have been up there for a while.
What I posted wasn't illegal.
No, they're not illegal, but they're hateful, and they can lead to violence. As I just read to you, the shooters, in all of these mass shootings, attributed social media to radicalizing.
So Don, you love censorship, is what you're saying?
No, I don't love censorship.
That form of argument too. So you love censorship? So you love censorship?
Censorship is
This is like it's like watching someone. I hate to bring this man up, but I'm going to do it and I'll stop. But it's like I could imagine talking to Jordan Peterson and talking about like why Marx made a point being, so you love communism, you love gulags, you love death. Like, no, man, let's just talk about what we're talking about.
It's a propaganda word for censorship.
But don't you think free speech is one thing, right? Or not,
Look, if something's illegal, we're going to take it down. If it's not illegal, then we're putting our thumb on the scale and we're being censors.
You're putting your thumb on the scale for moderating hate speech. I mean, you don't put out child pornography. That's not.
It's illegal.
Some people would say that's considered censorship. I'm just saying,
No,
That was a weird point by Don.
Literally, Don, I literally said, if something is legal, okay, we will obviously remove it.
Okay.
But if it is not legal, the laws in this country are put forward by the citizens. We're a democracy.
Wait, so I bet someone in the chat knows this better than me, or Henry does. Don't we have laws about hate speech? Right? Or do we not have laws about hate speech?
I believe so. I don't want to speak as an expert on it, though.
Yeah, if anyone knows, let me know if you know.
Laws put in place by the people. We adhere to those laws.
Okay,
I agree.
agree.
The laws of others. If you go beyond the law, you're actually going beyond the will of the people.
Okay, agreed with the law. But if you are doing something that promotes hate and violence and ultimately leads to killing, you don't feel you have any responsibility not to do that? When the people who are doing it admittedly are saying
there's articles all the time that lead to violence and killing. don't they? Shouldn't they? Like you're applying a differential standard to.
But that would never be in mainstream media. These types of images, that type of language, those things would never be. We'd never.
Okay, in the chat, people are pointing out
when
that
I
hate
was in
speech is
mainstream media, we'd
legal.
never promote things that would be anti-Semitic. We would never promote things that would.
I won't ask you for money for a while, but like the stream if you haven't.
Did you not see those?
You said promote. If content is on the platform, that doesn't mean we promote it.
Wait, but if I understand this correctly, when he says if content's on the platform, it doesn't mean we promote it. However, they do favor content from blue checks. People can pay for their content to be highlighted, and because of the affiliate, program where if you have a verified account, you can make money. That helps boost people as well. I'm pretty sure.
But that wouldn't be on a platform for mainstream media at all.
No, but you can think of that's because the mainstream media has like, whatever, 20 articles a day. We have 500 million posts a day.
Okay.
The mainstream media has 20 articles a day. The mainstream media where they all work in one big house and they write 20 articles a day.
Million.
Does it bother you? How do you feel about that when you see it?
I also disagree with that. I think it's not good at all. It's terrible.
But you don't want to get rid of it on the platform, or at least moderate it.
The rules, what you're suggesting is censorship that goes beyond the law. And what I'm saying is I guess have a disagreement, because I do not believe in censorship that goes beyond the law, and you do. We have a difference of opinion in that regard.
I understand that, but these are your own rules on your own platform. These go against the rules on your platform. That's why I'm asking you. If you said, listen, we allow everything, but that's not what your content rules say. And that's why I'm asking you, why are they still there? Your own content policy. That's why I'm asking you that, not because...
Which part of our content policy says that we should delete these things?
Your content policy talks about hate speech.
Yes, we don't promote hate speech.
And so you don't consider that hate speech?
So I'm looking into it, and the slippery thing about hate speech in the US is like you can say hateful things as long as it doesn't do like direct incitement or violence or funnel into hate crime. So it seems very slippery and too libertarian.
Guys, stick around. We're gonna get there soon. If you're like thinking of tapping out, don't tap out, because I need you to hear Elon in a little bit talk about how like white people were slaves too.
I guess you're not saying there's if there's you can find like you can sign up right now and do 100 things that are hateful, but if nobody reads it, it doesn't matter. So you can think of X.
If a Nazi tree falls in the forest and no one hears it,
it's much like the internet. It's not.
Oh, it's like
some
the internet.
Some tiny publication with like 20 articles a day. It's 500 million.
But everyone has the opportunity.
He's obsessed with this
these.
20 articles a day thing.
Everyone has the opportunity to read the internet. Are you suggesting we should shut down the internet?
No, but you don't own the internet. I'm asking
What, Don?
you
You
about
want to
you
shut
and your
down the whole internet,
responsibility on
Don?
the platform, and so I see how you feel now. You don't agree. We don't agree on this.
Yes, you want censorship and I don't.
No, I don't want censorship at
Yes,
all.
you do.
No, I
Yes,
want
you do.
responsibility. I think there.
You desperately want censorship.
No, if I want to censor.
It's like the kid in school that's like, so you totally want to kiss your mom? I don't want to kiss my mom. Oh, you love your mom so much you want to kiss her? What are you talking about? I don't want to kiss my mom. Guys, Daryl wants to kiss his mom. Oh shit, someone who does not know me is in this office, and I just yelled, Daryl wants to kiss his mom, and they looked at me.
You want censorship?
No, that's not true. It's not true.
He wants it so bad
I
he
think
can
that
taste
there's
it.
right and wrong. And I think
therefore
that,
you want censorship.
and I think that when you have a platform that's as big as yours and as powerful as yours and as influential as yours, and you are a person of consequence to the world with what you do, that there is a certain responsibility that goes along with what you have on your platform and what you put out to the world. And I think that's important. You don't see that responsibility.
I think we have a responsibility to adhere to the law, and if people want the
Guy
law
loves the
changed,
law.
they should talk
Is
to
he a cop?
their elected
'Cause he has to
representative
say
and
it
get
if
the
he's a
law
cop.
changed, and then we will adhere to the law.
Okay.
But if you want us to go beyond the law, that is us deciding to be censors.
So
And I'm against censorship. I'm in favor of freedom of speech.
Yeah.
And freedom of speech only is relevant when people you don't like say things you don't like. Otherwise, it has no meaning.
But I do think that there should be guardrails, and I believe in free speech as much as you. I would
No, you
fight. I don't disagree. I don't agree with a lot of what you put out on social media, but I will fight for your right to be able to say it.
Great.
Okay, let's
Okay,
keep cooking
so
on.
listen, let's talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. All right, that's been a target of yours lately on X. There was a repost of Ben Shapiro that you claim that DEI is killing people. Specifically, you point to medicine. You claim that DEI programs are putting people at risk. Do you really believe this to be true? And what evidence do you have to support it?
What I was referring to there was that if we lower the standards for doctors,
All of his like examples are like things that maybe like a kind of oddly libertarian conservative type young college student when smoking weed for the second time would think. Like, if you have diversity, that means those doctors won't be as good as the other doctors, and you're gonna die on the table because a diverse doctor is gonna cut you up. I didn't cite anything other than like this thought experiment.
they, if the test for a doctor is lowered, then
the
the
test for
probability
the
of them
doctor,
making a mistake
the
and killing
doctor
someone
test.
is obviously going to be higher.
Wait, say that again. I'm not sure I understand what you said. I want to make sure I
Say
understand
that
what you're
again.
saying, I should
Yes,
say.
if the standards for passing medical exams and becoming a doctor, or especially something like a surgeon, if the standards
Okay, so he's making an assumption here, and again, I don't know if this is the case or not. If you in the chat know this, as far as I know, I don't think diversity means like, yeah, guys, to become a heart surgeon, you got to have a 90 on this test. But if you're diverse, actually, you just need a 75. So just a 75, you're good. But whites, I don't think that's what it means. I think that diversity might mean that it has an effect on admissions. But of course, I imagine any med school or any law school, you have way more qualified people than you can let in anyways. So I think admissions is very different than like the surgeon test you take before you get to cut grandma open. But hey, if you know more than this in the chat, we're a community. We're a community that learns together, we grow together. And if a few more people watch, maybe we dome together.
then the probability that the surgeon will make a mistake is higher. They're making mistakes in their exam. They may make mistakes with people, and that may result in people dying.
What evidence do you have, though, that they're lowering the standards? There's no evidence of that.
I believe there is.
There's no evidence of
Vibes.
that, Elon. What is the evidence?
I believe they have literally lowered the standards at Duke University, and that is what the article was referring to.
There's no
Are you
evidence
saying they
of
have
that.
not lowered the standards?
There's no evidence about lowering standards, and I think that there is.
I believe that is a false statement you're making.
Okay, well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I think
The
that
interesting
We'll
thing is,
figure it
when
out.
this is posted on the X platform, there will be a whole bunch of things that rebut what you said and what I said,
Right.
and so people can then make their own decision based on the replies and the rebuttals
George
and the
Jones
community
with the
notes.
pause.
I think that's fair, but I do think that on this particular topic, I do think that you and Ben Shapiro are reaching in about this, because there was
Yes,
what
me in the
Ben
chat know
posted
this.
said that
So take my
people
word.
were- he gave
What kind of
instances people
simping
who
is
were
this for the
deliberately,
chat? Oh,
harming
Michael,
people.
how you fallen?
Nowhere.
Today's the day where I interact with weird stuff in the chat. How I've fallen, Dr. Tenma. Are you a real doctor? And are you only a doctor because you took the diversity test? I don't know. There's a lot of smart people in the chat. And I don't know if you know this, Dr. Tenma. I don't know if you're a real doctor. But there's lots of great people in our chat who are really smart. I don't want to only name some people, but Dr. Christopher Maverick is regularly with us, who's a PhD and a scholar of media studies. Our friend Eddie is a professor in art. Sometimes our friend Julia, who's a urban planner, is here and shares knowledge about that stuff. We have a lot of friends in the chat who are really smart in areas that we are not smart in. So that's why I was asking the chat, not to be lazy, just because, I think it's good to be humble about stuff like that. But now we're a chat full of doctors. Full of doctors. Yeah, I got owned by the troll. Listen, I love trolls.
Where does Ben suggest at all, I should say, that anyone is being killed as a result of DEI? That's purely speculative. There's research on DEI in medicine, and there's no evidence that standards are being lowered,
Okay.
that DEI is affecting medicine. Actually,
Okay,
only 5% of doctors
Yeah.
are black, and a small percent.
Yeah. Well, I think you'll find that when this is posted
I think you'll
to
find.
the X platform, that people will reply to it with evidence.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see.
Oh no, did I just do it, Elon, when he's like, you'll find people will respond as evidence? Is that like me saying people in the chat know stuff?
But That's my whole thing about moderation. Maybe you're wrong, but you'll put it out there. You don't know if it's right. Do you think that your responsibility
Two
to make
master's
sure
degrees
something is right
counts. Two
before
master's
you, the
degrees
person who
makes a
owns
right.
it, Elon Musk, who's a huge figure in the world, that you should know that it's true that there are people at
Ann
X who can
Porkins
get
is the
research
top
for
slopper
you
in their
before you
field.
put something out there like that. That's not necessarily true. Even in other examples.
Love you too, Banana Peel.
If I say something that is inaccurate, I'm immediately corrected on the platform. That's the advantage of a real-time system. So there will be immediately in the replies, people correcting me. There will be a community note that will correct me, which is attached to the actual post itself.
Do you think as many people
It was just like, I can say whatever I want because some stranger will correct me.
Yes.
You think as many people read that as it reads your tweet?
Yes, in fact, and if there's a community note that happens later that where somebody
And Don Lemon, if anything, I'll say he doesn't go hard on him at all. Like Elon Musk the other day reposted a video of some like straight up white supremacist shit and was like, "This is important."
didn't see, but they replied to that, interacted with that post, we will notify them that there is now a community note correcting that post.
Just so you.
Whereas if you consider the conventional media, that doesn't happen. Conventional media makes false statements all the time and nobody ever hears the correction.
When I was in conventional media, I can only speak for myself. If I got something wrong, or if someone got something wrong on the platform that I was on, it was corrected, and we made sure that it was corrected. Now, I can't speak for anyone else.
When Don was like, "Women be shopping and crying," CNN had to make a retraction and then fire him.
I don't think that's a universal situation.
Okay, so I just the research. So when you talk, do you believe that people are dying because medical standards, DEI is causing medical standards to be
DEI
lowered?
is killing
Do you actually
people.
believe people are dying because of that?
I believe that if we lower the standards for what it takes to become a doctor.
You're saying if we lower the standards,
Yes.
but do you believe people are dying because the standards are being lowered?
I don't think
been
that is
lowered?
yet an issue, but it could become an
Okay, man, it would become an issue if we start. I don't know. The example I was going to say is probably problematic. But what a weird hill to die on of coming up with a weird hypothetical, using that weird hypothetical to like incite weird forms of racism, and then admit that it's not real. But what if it was real though? What if it was real though? You know, what if they let kids become doctors? Would we want that? People would die. Elon, are they letting kids become doctors? But what if they did? But they haven't. But what if? But they haven't. Oh my god.
issue.
Okay. But the actual evidence in history shows the exact opposite if you look at how minorities were treated by the medical system.
Hey, thanks, John. I like getting spicy. It's fun.
Most doctors now are white. And
Yeah, Logan,
there are
that's
lots of
making up a guy
mistakes
to get
in
mad
medicine.
at.
So you're saying that white doctors have bad medical.
I want to be like, Elon, would you rather have a 14-year-old white doctor or an incredibly accomplished 50-year-old doctor of color? I guess you could use Doogie Howser as an example.
I'm trying to understand your logic here when it comes to DEI because
his
there's no
logic?
actual evidence of what you're saying.
No, I said, so if the standards, like let's say, I think that particular,
Guys, if they complete the second Death Star, then there will be serious consequences in terms of planets with trade relations with the
things
Empire.
referring to surgeons. Let's say a surgeon is asked to, a surgeon in training is asked to do a series of operations under the supervision of a senior surgeon, and they get a bunch of those operations wrong. If that happens, and yet they are still approved to be a surgeon, the probability that someone will die, I think, at some point is high.
Okay.
What is he
I understand
even
that, but that's not
talking
hypothetical.
about?
That doesn't mean it's happening.
It is
I didn't say
hypothetical.
it's happening.
You didn't say it was happening.
I said it will.
Guys,
I said if we lower standards, people will die.
But why respond to something or put something out there that has not happened? Because I could say,
okay, guys, I'm just telling you too. We're in the home stretch here. It really gets cooking towards the end. If you live in a place where it's appropriate for you to have a beverage right now, make yourself a cocktail or something like that. Grab yourself a snack, because it's coming in hot. Thanks for hanging out, guys. We really appreciate having you all here. This is Wisecrack Live. I'm Michael Burns, joined as always by producer Henry, and joined as always by a really smart chat that I like a lot. Fucking sue me that I like the chat so much. Sue me that I think there's great people here. Okay. Sue me. Don't sue me. I can't afford a lawyer. As always, I'll say it. Someone's gonna get mad at me for saying this. We have a Patreon. Check it out if you want. There's cool stuff on there. We're doing podcasts. We're doing videos. We're doing, if you pay enough, it'll be more than just Raw Dome. It'll be Dome. That was not me offering services, but I'm just saying, check it out if you want. It helps us out a lot. The real deal as well is we're not Don fans. It's not like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. It's just a funny interview. I don't like Don Lemon at all. Like, yeah, he's my favorite. I die for Don, yes. But like we don't like him. So there you go. But check out our Patreon if you have it in you, if you want to check it out. You can also do like a free membership thing and just see what we have coming up. Excited that we're gonna Legal Eagle is the only lawyer that I know. But yeah, we're gonna do a book club thing soon where what this is going to look like on the Wisecrack University level. I'm gonna pick a book or a series of articles at the beginning of the month. I'll let you know what they are. I'm gonna try to make it things that you guys can get for free. I'm not gonna say that publicly, but I'll post a message on Patreon hinting at where you can find things for free if you don't want to spend money on them. I'll post some notes. We'll do some videos. We'll do a Q&A. It'll be the cheapest seminar with a PhD in philosophy you could ever have. Okay, let's get back into this because I'm ready to do it. Please like the stream if you haven't already. Please like it if you haven't already.
Hey,
I think we don't want to lower those standards.
okay, if you look at the history of the medical industry, especially when it comes to Black Americans, it shows the exact opposite. If you look at the Tuskegee experiment and on, only 5% of doctors in America are Black.
I wish Don did
All
better
of them are
research
white.
for this and had.
So are you saying that if the majority of doctors are white, are you saying
some more
that
facts?
and there are still these inequities, right? And there's still mistakes. Are you blaming DEI for that?
No, I'm very basically saying that if we lower standards for what it takes to become a board-certified surgeon,
if we
or,
lower standards, for
an oncologist
anything,
or something where
for just anything,
the kind of disease we're talking about, if you make a mistake,
imagine if we lowered the standard to be a YouTube host, the world would fall apart.
someone to die, then more people will die than if we don't lower the standards. Therefore, we should not lower the standards.
But why do you think they're lowering the standards for minority doctors or women doctors or?
That's what that's what that article suggested. Yes, at Duke University.
Okay. The evidence that
Okay.
I have shows that that's not true.
Okay.
So listen, after the door blew off this mid-flight, this Alaskan Airlines flight, do you remember that? You responded to a post claiming that the average HBCU grad was less intelligent than the average air.
I just want to note what Elon Musk tweeted is that the average black HBCU, historically black colleges and universities. If you're not in America, you don't know this. HBCUs are great. There's like a network of universities that are very, very good. Like Howard University is a very good college. Tons of these places are great colleges.
And stated that it will take an airplane crashing and killing hundreds of people for them to change this crazy policy of DIE. I don't know if did you misspell it on purpose, which it should be DEI. Do you believe that women and minority pilots are inherently less intelligent and less skilled than white male pilots?
No, I'm just saying that we should not lower the standards for them.
What is your evidence that we
okay.
have?
But there's no evidence that standards are being lowered when it comes to the airline industry.
You've repeatedly said that there's no evidence that standards are being lowered, and watch the replies showing all the evidence that it is.
Replies though on social
What he
media.
says is he makes an argument and says, if you don't believe me, watch the replies. Guys, I've seen the replies on the old x.com. It doesn't remind me of being at the table of the academy in Athens, or sitting around as Descartes meditated, observing Copernicus as he considers the stars. It doesn't feel like that when you look at the reactions and the comments and responses. But there you go. Thanks for being here. We still have time to get to Dome. That's all I'm saying. We still have a lot of time to get to Raw Dome. If you don't know what that is, let's see what it is. If we get to 1,000, you get Raw Dome. Like the stream, share it if you want.
Twitter are not necessarily fact and evidence.
No,
That's people's
they will
opinion.
cite
Okay.
in the replies to this. You will see how often the information is cited, showing that indeed there are significant.
My argument is that in
cases
the
where,
future,
standards
someone
lowered.
And I
with the
do hope-
username Ava Braun's Cucklord is going to provide information to show that I'm right.
That happens. I do hope that happens, and I look forward to it. And as you said, if you're wrong, then you're wrong, and if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong.
Yes.
Okay. So and I'm glad we're having this conversation debate. This is what you should we should be doing debating the issue. So if
Right.
I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, and then they'll be proven in the thing, and you as well. But I just want to tell you that that pilot that you talked about, in fact, was a woman pilot, landed the plane
What's up, Sean?
safely, despite the major malfunction with the equipment. Boeing has taken responsibility for that incident, saying that it was caused by a faulty door panel. So I'm not sure what that had to do with lowering the standards for pilots when it was a faulty.
No, it's not lowering standards for pilots. It's the incentive structure. I believe at Boeing changed to include DEI as a fundamental executive incentive. In my view, it should be purely about passenger safety.
Okay, but do you understand?
I say this not in a political way. I don't care about politics. I've never voted. I don't even know how, to be honest. But it is weird that so many of the culture wars currently taking place, at least in the United States of America, in digital and real life spaces, are just made up things. Like the DEI thing, we made a video about this recently, and I wish I could go back in time and redo that video because I see some ways we could have done a better job. But so much of that debate is about made up things. It's about a made up fictional world where the doctors don't have to be as good or the pilots don't have to be as good if they're diverse. And these like aren't true things. But that's what we're debating about. And that overlaps with these weird debates about like wokeness that like don't mean anything. They're not real.
Yeah,
And
just
it's
look at
so
the
frustrating to listen to this shit.
yeah, just look at like the branding pivot a lot of right-wing outlets did after the 2022 midterms didn't turn out to be like a complete dominating red wave. They're still TERFs, but they've backed away from the trans issue and been more on like traditional bread and butter racism for the GOP now.
Yeah, and someone, Guillermo Gonzalez in the chat said critical race theory was the same. Yeah, like again, the example, and we have our video on this is good. You know, the example on critical race theory is people highlighted a relatively obscure legal framework that you only learn if you are in law school or grad school, and then invented the idea that that legal framework was being taught to 5-year-olds and caused a whole cultural thing. Guys, just to be clear, I feel like I'm bad I'm pretty flat affect wise with sarcasm. I have voted. My first election I voted in was the 2004 presidential election. I voted at, I think it was the City Hall in Costa Mesa, California. I waited in line for a while. You know, it was a whole thing. And if we get to 1,000, I'll tell you who I voted for. Actually, if
By
we get to
saying-
999, I'll tell you everyone I've ever voted for in any presidential
By
election.
saying just that standards are being lowered, that you're implying that they're being lowered because people are less skilled and less intelligent. and
Booker.
you're
Michael
talking
will
about
say
people
all
of
the right
color
political things and then say he
and/or
doesn't
women.
care about politics. I don't even know what politics means.
Look, I'm saying we should not lower
Dr.
standards.
Tenma, I was
do you-
joking. You're
you
a
don't-
that's
doctor.
it.
Come on.
I think everyone can agree that you shouldn't lower standards.
Great, that's
But you're
all.
implying that they're lowering standards because of people of color or women because someone is not a white male. You're saying that they're less skilled and less intelligent. That's what
No,
you're
I'm
saying.
not saying that. I'm simply saying that they are.
Then why would they be lowering the standards?
1776, Rev
don't know.
King.
Why
Oh,
would they
Revolution
understand
King.
Just so you know, 5% of pilots are female, 4% are black. So you're talking about this widespread takeover of minorities and women when that's not actually true.
I'm not saying there's a
standards
widespread takeover.
Well, you're saying that the standards are being lowered because of certain people. And
Imagine if
how
someone
do you-
who was like good interviewed him.
You don't believe in DEI, right? Do you not believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion?
I think we should be treat people according to their skills and their integrity, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Do you know that studies show?
Studies show.
Yeah, well, we can look them up.
Oh
Well,
my God.
So
I love
you-
when he does that study show, and he's like, "Study show? What study you talking about, Todd?" But then he'll say, "Oh, study from Duke University showed that if the doctor's not white, you're gonna
Your
die."
reaction to studies show and understand, right? Because I always like to point to an exact study, right?
Sure.
Something that is factual. It's the same thing when you talk about, well, let's see what the replies are on Twitter or on X.
Yeah, so it's not the event.
So I feel the same way about that. But this is what studies have shown, and people will reply and they'll say that companies with more diversity and their leadership teams have reported higher innovation rates than those with lower diversity or low diversity. And they're better companies and they make more money. This whole idea about
Money.
DEI, if you go woke or whatever, you go broke, that's not
Money.
necessarily true. People with diverse leadership teams and diverse
In the recent Some More News video on Daily Wire stuff, Cody showed the one of the clips from Ben Shapiro reviewing Barbie and saying this movie is trash and no one's gonna see it a second time. I threw it in a trash can. Woke go broke. That movie made $900 billion.
workers make more money and more innovative.
Ooh, 980. We're really close. Like the
Like I
stream,
said,
guys.
my view is that the only basis for promoting somebody should be their skills, talents, and their integrity, and that's it.
I want to ask you about there's a federal government EEOC. They are also currently involved in a lawsuit against Tesla that alleges that there's a history of widespread racial harassment against black Tesla employees, as well as a pattern of retaliation for speaking out.
This last 10 minutes of this, guys, it gets spicy. And again, thanks for being here. We're almost to the end of this. We're making it all together. We're doing it together. The Lady Baller review is live. Guillermo says, "Oh my gosh, I don't want to work today because I just want to watch that." Okay.
Say that.
Well, I don't believe that is true. I think we've got a very good like if you walk around the
What's
the
up,
Te-
that
the
one
Tesla
account?
Fremont plant, I think it's a very good atmosphere. In fact, I practically lived there for 3 years.
Long and
trying to
Pork.
make the
Lady
production
Ballers
work.
taught me it's possible
Were
for
you
a
aware
movie
if
to be
you lived there, were
divorced.
you aware of such behavior?
I never saw it.
That's really funny.
So you're saying that this is not true, it's not happening.
Well, I mean, there's over 20,000 people. So you say, like, if there's over 20,000 people in one building, well, is everyone going
He's gonna do some random stat. You know, it's like, well, 20,000 people. According to my logic, if there's 20,000 people, at least 17 of them are kind of racist, 11 are really racist, and 5 are rampantly racist. So that would happen in any
to
place.
behave publicly? No. Did I see any situations that I thought were improper? I did not.
Let's talk about trans rights and the woke mind virus, because you talk about
Yeah, the woke mind virus is great. Yeah, guys, I know people are talking about there's a new Some More News video. How about this? When the stream ends, we'll post the link. Everyone go watch the new Some More News video after and then say Wisecrack sent me. I want to become friends with those guys. So maybe that's a way for us to make something together. I would love to do I truly would love to do something with them.
Yeah,
So
they're
maybe
cool
that's
people.
the way to do it. Yeah. So we'll post the link to the new Some More News video at the end of stream, and you gotta go and say Wisecrack sent me. Don't say anything about Dome though. They don't know that that's a thing. Okay, let's get into this. We're gonna learn about the woke mind virus. This is weird that I know this, but I shouldn't say this out loud. I'm going to, but I know that Cody, who makes that show, lives really close to me. Like, I've said too much.
that a lot. You're right on the thing. You have been
He just said you're right about that a lot on the thing.
deeply outspoken about the issue of trans rights. You posted trans rights. You posted that pronouns in bio mean the woke mind virus ate your brain. Do you know what the term woke actually means?
It's come to mean a lot of things.
But what originally it was meant to mean. It's just being aware of inequities in society and being aware of facts and history.
Yeah, I think it's come to be. I think being aware of inequities in society is fine, of course.
Not being aware is fine.
But trying to blame everything on trying to make everything a race issue is, I think, divisive and corrosive to society.
Even as it relates to trans issues, which is what I'm.
Yeah, race or gender or whatever.
You think that society blames everything on racism now?
It blames a lot of things on it, and yeah,
You think that's unfair?
yeah.
Why?
Man, guys, we
I
keep
think
getting
we
so
should-
close to
we
1,000.
should,
My God.
Not make this a constant subject. I think we need to move on. I think we just
I'll
treat
do.
people like people.
You don't agree that this country was founded on racism and founded on slavery and in
Wait, we
many
did?
ways inequities?
Okay, let's go. I'll pause for a second. I'm
Let's
so
go continue
sad
on.
that it's not a day where I have a fresh buzz. Bask in the glory of a hairless head. No amount of keeps could fix this head. I could get all the keeps in the world.
Beautiful.
I could grind up all the keeps pills and powders, and I could massage my scalp for hours. And yet my hair will have no power.
But why would you?
Follicles
Why
I
would you
have
desecrate
done-
it like that though? It's beautiful.
Yeah, guys, bald is beautiful. Jesus Christ was bald. Mother Teresa was bald. All the greatest figures in history have been bald. Thank you for getting us over the hump. We did it, but most importantly, you did it. I'm pounding on table like Youngtown. It's dome, and I'm gonna say it. A real quick talk. Young people, if your hair is starting to go, it starts to go on the sides. You notice it's a little thin on the top. Here's all I'm gonna say. Everyone else already notices. It's not a secret. It's not a secret. So I would just say, like, take care of it first. Just buzz it shorter. You don't have to buzz all the way yet. Go shorter, go tighter, and just own it. Just own it. That's all I'm going to say. I know if there's 1,000 people, or at least one of them is a young man who's maybe losing some hair, it's totally fine. And before we get back to Elon Musk, I'm going to say this. I was really insecure when I was younger, and I'm going to be 100% honest. When I was in my early 20s, I thought that because I was going bald, I would never have, loving consensual sex with a person, that I wouldn't be able to get a girlfriend or get married. I really thought this. It was horrible, horribly toxic stuff that I internalized. And now, listen, guys, I'm bald. I'm almost 40. I got a wife, got a daughter. Things are going okay. So bald is beautiful. Let's go. I guess I'll just stay raw. Should I just stay raw for the rest? Is that how it works? I forget the rules.
At your comfort, but I'm curious who you voted for.
Oh, my first election, I voted for Ralph Nader. And before you get mad at me, it was 2004. I voted in California. I knew that John Kerry was going to win California. It was a Kerry versus Bush election. And speaking about bald insecurity, one of the reasons I voted for Nader is because I had a crush on a woman that was in my theology class. People say Wisecrack doesn't understand Christianity. I was in a theology class. And she was like a kind of like eco hippie and convinced me that Nader was good to vote for. Thanks for liking the stream. So I voted for Nader. And we went on one date after that. It was very awkward. And then she married one of my good friends, and now they have 2 kids together. So again, things work out. But that's who I voted for that time. And all my other votes have been kind of boring ones. In 2008, I voted for Barack Obama. I had to vote. I was living in Scotland then, so I had to send a thing in. And I hosted a watch party in Scotland, and all these Europeans came over. And the next day in Scotland, after Obama won, all these Europeans were like, "Hey, Michael, good job. You did it." And I was like, wow. Jello shots, yes. I am the oldest Zoomer. If you didn't know that, I am the oldest Zoomer. Okay, let's get back to this interview. I'll stay raw as long as I'm comfortable with it. And I would say this too. Let dome be a metaphor. We all have our thing. You know what I mean? For me, it's male pattern baldness, but we all have a thing that we worry about. Maybe you have like a mole you don't like. Maybe you're shorter than you want to be, taller than you want to be. Maybe you're hairy in places you don't want to be hairy. I don't know what it is for you, but it's okay. Just own it. You're great the way you are. You really are. Um, all of you, even the crisis civilization cock guy. You're great too.
On to the
I
stage.
think every country at that time, and I think even today, was extremely racist. Every country.
Okay, so it's justification for like slavery being crucial to the foundation of the United States of America is, well, every country was racist. So,
And
and if everyone's racist, is anyone racist?
obviously, slavery was present in about half of this country, and was not present in the north. There was racism for sure, but
He's teaching Don where slavery was and wasn't. Does he
I think
literally
we
believe like
want to-
it's a geographic half? Like because when he says it's still alive in half the country, I'm like, what? But he's thinking of like the South in like the most kindergarten brain terms, I suspect. Yeah. Oh no, guys. Zoot Poot, he's right. This is a bald cap. I have sick hair. I have the best hair. So there you go. Wisecrack sent me, and I have permission from Dr. Spicer to tell you he wants to hang out with you guys. John Chu, do you mean to send this to us, or did you put this in another thing and you just chatted us? I don't know. Are you like testing us out? Or testing out? I don't know. I
To-
appreciate it.
look to the future rather than the past. And instead of engaging in constant rehashing of the past, because in fact, if you look at history, if you study history broadly,
If you study history, as Elon Musk, as a historian who studied history broadly,
everyone was a slave.
Yeah, man. Everyone ever,
Just
just
this thing
everyone
on
was a slave.
pension. That's maybe not a true point. I don't think that we can just say that slavery is okay because everyone was a slave, and I don't think that's true. If there's a historian, please tap in. What a
There's a
crazy thing to say. What a
huge
crazy thing to say.
Yeah, there's a huge history of different types of slavery, and the type of American slavery we inherited from like Barbados English was crueler and more dehumanizing than prior forms.
Yeah, I mean, like shit is always sucked in different ways, and there's been horrible enslavement, stratification, ever. But yeah, everyone's a slave, guys. So it's cool. It's all good.
Everyone.
Yes. Well, not
Okay.
everyone was a slave,
No,
but
everyone was a slave.
okay.
Nonsense. Nonsense. Not everyone was a slave, and he only goes, no, everyone was a slave.
We are all descended from slaves.
Yeah.
I mean, even bringing up the concept of indentured servitude shows how much like European people were privileged with a different form of slavery with its own economic benefits and pathway to citizenship, which is extremely different than the chattel slavery that Africans were brought under.
I don't mean to say this while laughing because it's not funny, but like this guy grew up in a country that had apartheid. He's from a country that in his lifetime had an apartheid system, a straight up racial apartheid, where your rights and life and everything was different based on the color of your skin. He lived that, and he's saying these things.
Yeah.
Like imagine growing up in a place where there's like a big wall near you and your life is pretty chill, but then people that are like the same age and everything as you, but they like are black or whatever, their life is totally different, and then you just say things like this because you made a rocket that goes boom.
Plus.
Yeah.
It's just a question of when. Was it more recent or less recent? That's it.
right.
That's it.
So
That's it.
what future do we want?
But we are-
Is this something we want to make a part of our constant dialogue forever, or do we want to say like let's just move on and treat everyone?
This is the most baby-brained shit ever. And in case anyone's watching this and they're like, I don't know, Michael, he's making some good points. Maybe you're being too whatever. The point is we look to history to analyze the structural conditions that led to certain types of social, cultural, and human formations, right? Because these things don't happen in vacuums. And we know that when we think about, slavery in America, it's tied into systems of, land conquest, colonization, trade, economics, all the sort. It's tied into systems, and when
Yeah.
we understand those systems, we can then see how we can avoid replicating those structural conditions in the future. Now, the structural condition wasn't like I want to have a slave or I just hate those people, so whatever. I mean, sure, that's like a sort of
Yeah.
epiphenomenal affect, but that's not the motivation and basis. So if all we do is change an effective attitude towards things without interrogating and questioning the underlying social, historical, economic systems that lead to that, then we're not going to change anything. Which is why it's wildly dangerous when someone is like, "Stop talking about history, Don. I just, I want to judge people by the content of their character," because I like to quote MLK out of context.
Someone in the chat was asking how American slavery was different than Ottoman slavery, and this gets back to what I was saying about chattel slavery. Ottoman slavery and other historical forms of slavery had ways to earn your citizenship, and like the Ottomans, for instance. I know members of their slave class became like quite a few members of the slave class became like famous government members or just members of the Ottoman ruling class, which I don't really see that in America because that wasn't the point of American chattel slavery. It was to run the plantation until they collapsed in the fields.
Um, It's not good. It's not good. We're almost there, guys. So let's get through this whole interview and say that we did it together. We came together today.
According to just who they are as an individual.
I agree with you with that. That's the ideal. But what the evidence shows is that that's not what's actually in practice.
I think we're doing better than anywhere else.
That's true. I agree with that. But that doesn't mean
I don't agree with that, Don.
anything. That doesn't mean a lot to a whole lot of people who aren't able to take advantage of the opportunities that you were able to take advantage of simply because the color of your skin.
A guy who grew up in apartheid South Africa doesn't get how racial dynamics play into our social, societal, and economic power. but he's the smartest guy. He is the smartest guy.
What advantages did my color of my skin give me?
He say this? How does he say these things? What advantages? You grew up in South Africa during apartheid, and you are earnestly asking what advantages the color of your skin gives you. This is insanity. And if anyone's watching this far who's like a big Musk head, listen, if you love your Cybertruck, fucking cool, man. Have fun with it. If you think SpaceX is cool, honestly, I saw a SpaceX rocket launch the other day in the sky. It was fun. I liked watching the rocket go boom. That's fun. Who doesn't like that? But disconnect those things from thinking that this person who runs some businesses is a smart man when he grew up in apartheid South Africa and earnestly says he does not see how the color of his skin gave him any advantage in life. It's absurd. It's just absurd. And this isn't some like woke shit I'm saying or leftist shit. This is just looking at social and cultural conditions with honesty.
Well, there's an ease that you have in society that many people of color don't. You were able to come to this country voluntarily. There are many people who are not able to come to the country voluntarily. There are people who came here as slaves.
For me to come here.
And there is a legacy of slavery that still continues on. There's a legacy of racism that still continues on in this country. That's undeniable.
What advantage does having an emerald mine have, says Shifting Tides?
Talking about it nonstop, it will never go away. If we keep making it the central thing, it will never go away.
If we just stop talking about racism, it's going to go away. Guys, we have a classic Beetlejuice scenario here. When you watch the film Beetlejuice, you realize that so many of the problems in the film happen because they keep saying Beetlejuice. And if they would have not said Beetlejuice, everything would have been fine. But they couldn't stop saying Beetlejuice. I get it. I think that's what happened in that movie, honestly.
Why do you
I haven't seen
believe
it
that?
in 20 years.
I think I'm just making a simple statement of fact. So
He said it's a simple statement of fact that we still have racism because we're talking about it. Simple statement of fact.
I think we want
I'm
to
gonna
get
have a
away
heart
from
attack.
making everything a race or a gender or whatever issue. And just
Oh,
treat
group
people like
movie day. That
individuals.
sounds fun, John.
Do you have any
I really want to do a
desire
Wisecrack movie
to
night for real.
understand what many people of color and even trans people,
Eric, good to see
how
you.
they
Glad you're
feel
here.
about this country?
Don't
and
say
how they're
Candyman.
treated in this country.
not.
If they say and they believe that they are treated a certain way in this country, why don't you believe them?
You can't listen. You can't trust
You
them
cannot have a
'cause of
situation
DEI.
where someone is a self-described victim, and they just get to be that.
You can't have a situation where someone's a victim and they just get to be that. Yikes.
Because that's how they feel.
You can't be a victim because that's how you feel. Now,
Doesn't
I'll be
he
right-
just perpetually feel that himself? Like he's just projecting
Yeah.
hard here.
I know. And like, I'll be a right-wing conspiracist for a second. Are there situations where people like weaponize victimhood and identity? For sure. People weaponize many things. But to make a general statement that people like just don't get to be victims because they feel that way, that's pretty tough.
That does happen in some cases.
Like the stream
But
if you
not
haven't
all
already.
cases.
No reason to slow down
And
now.
I think that not understanding the history of the
Christopher
country, I think,
Barley, what have you done?
Is a real shame.
You're
Look,
insane.
We should
I've
understand
had
the history of
incredible
the country and
opportunities.
other countries.
I've had incredible opportunities as a person of color,
Right.
but I've also
You're
been
doing very well.
But I've also been discriminated against, and I know that I have, and I know that that's real. And for someone to say that that isn't happening, I should just move
DEI
forward and not
stands
think
for
about that.
to
and ignore
beetle
the
a beetle
past
like Beetlejuice.
is insulting.
I'm not saying it. Don, you
Logan,
keep
it
putting
totally
words in
keeps
my
from
mouth.
Harry shit.
I'm not saying it's.
I didn't say that you
I'm
said
I'm
it.
saying that we want to. We as a country should move beyond the questions of race and gender, and we should treat people like
questions of
individuals
Cybertrucks.
and base our.
Okay, so he says we treat people like individuals. I've talked about this a lot, and I talked about this on like a Patreon video recently. Anytime someone tells you to reduce things to just like individuals, they're lying to you because we can only properly understand these large scale problems through the interactions of individuals with structural systems and conditions. Jesus Christ.
Opinions on them, on the, their character and their skills.
I don't think that anyone will disagree with that.
Exactly.
All I'm saying is that that's not happening and is not equal for everyone. That those opportunities don't happen for everyone, and I am a living example that they don't. I know that they don't because I live it.
You've been incredibly successful.
I have been,
And I
in
think-
spite of it all. But I know what I know. I've experienced what I've experienced. You haven't done that. And I cannot, I don't know what it's like to be from South Africa. I don't know what it's like to be a white man. I don't know what it's like to be a woman. I don't know what it's like to
Like the fact that Elon can't even look across the little table and be like, "Oh wow, interesting that if Don and I grew up together in South Africa, we probably wouldn't be able to sit down and chop it up like this because of the thing." That lack of self-awareness is just shocking.
be a person. I don't know that. So I wouldn't speak for them and just say, you need to move on. That's not for me to say. I believe that it would be great if the country could live up to that ideal. You think that everyone has the same opportunities in America, regardless of their background.
I think it's a really dangerous thing when people pathologize in a reckless way, but like, is Elon Musk like a sociopath or something? I don't know. I mean, he just seems like he has no fucking empathy.
And ethnicity. Do you agree?
No, I don't think everyone has the same opportunities.
Okay. So when you talk about, let's talk about trans rights. When you decided to talk
We're
about
almost there,
the
guys.
trans rights movement, you said that it was a woke mind virus. Why do you believe the trans rights movement is a woke mind virus? What do you mean by woke mind virus?
You just has to think about it for a while.
Woke mind virus is when you stop caring about people's skills and their integrity, and you start focusing instead on gender and race and other things that are different from that. I think the woke mind virus is fundamentally racist, fundamentally sexist, and fundamentally evil.
I'm having a stroke. This man is going to make me have a stroke. So, oh God, let's just let me keep talking, I guess.
Okay.
And we've got a little bit more time, so
Yeah.
you choose your questions.
Okay.
carefully.
So, okay.
Choose
thank
your
you for
questions
that.
carefully.
I would appreciate you answering these. I think it's important that we're doing this. I think it's important to the world to hear this, especially what's going on in our country. The reason I ask you, listen, there are a whole lot of things that people maybe have questions about when it comes to transgender people. Even people who are part of the LGBTQ plus community have questions about that. But if you are a free speech absolutist, right, and that is part of the First Amendment, also the freedom of expression falls under that First Amendment as well. So why can't people choose to identify with the gender that they feel comfortable with, or use a pronoun? Isn't that part of freedom of expression?
I guess no. They can ask others to do whatever they feel. They can ask others to do anything. It's a different question whether they mandate that others do that thing.
Okay. Let's talk more about free speech and for advertising.
Honestly, guys, if I had to use pronouns in an email, I might die.
Right? Because all this controversy, I believe, as you know, has made X less appealing to advertisers. About half of them have left the platform. You call advertisers that left X.com. You said they were oppressors. You've even gone as far as
Oppressors!
saying
Those are the
publicly
oppressors.
that they can go F themselves or go fuck
Those
themselves.
are the oppressors.
Advertisers,
Racism
If
isn't
they're gonna
real.
force censorship on the company before advertising, then
It's censorship. And if a company is like, I don't want to run my ad on your platform because it sucks, that's censorship.
obviously I find that unacceptable.
you find it unacceptable. Why is that not a form of free speech? They are free to advertise where they want. They're not beholden to. They're not
Yes.
obligated to advertise
not
on
obligated.
X.com.
Right.
So, how is that not free speech?
That's whereas the other platforms will censor.
thank
on
you so
behalf
much,
of-
dog
of
formerly known as Cat.
advertisers. The X platform will not.
Persephone
Okay.
has crazy
So, but you think it's you don't think it's
pronouns.
okay for them not to advertise with or have their content or their advertisement next to something that is anti-Semitic or
That is a different question. There's
Okay,
you
guys,
can
we're gonna wind down here. What have we learned? The last bit is talking about like advertisers and stuff like that. He says more insane stuff. Now, we could say, was this a waste of time, right? Did we just watch the incoherent ramblings of a weird dummy being interviewed by a slightly less weird dummy? Maybe. Or did we get to watch a lot of logical inconsistencies and incoherencies play out in real time spoken by someone who runs very successful companies, owns one of the biggest, social platforms on the world, and has a huge political and social influence. I think that may be it as well. And the thing is, like, even if we watch this stuff and we like, we can laugh about it because who gives a fuck, right? People eat this up, People listen to him.
Yeah,
He posts things that are like this, and people read them and care about them and react to them. And it's kind of dangerous.
I'm going crazy because on X, people will post clips of this and be all like, "Oh, this is where Elon really owns Lemon," and it's just like, no, he's stuttering and stumbling and dodging the question. I don't know what you see here.
Yeah. So I don't know. Thanks for hanging out for this. We got to Dome, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, Sean Grafton says, doesn't matter. We got to see Dome. So thanks again. Like the stream if you haven't already, and all the stuff. Thank you for those of you who are members. Really appreciate it. Um, Thanks to all our patrons. If you haven't checked it out yet, there's a new video up on Patreon today. If you're on the Discord server, hop in, say hi. If there's ever stuff you want us to talk about on stream, thank you so much, John, for loving the chaos. We're always down to hear recommendations. Go check out the new Some More News video. We're excited to watch it. And let them know Wisecrack sent you. That'd be like a fun thing to do, right? That's not weird. I think that's kind of fun. And says, no worries. And remember, you can always watch these later. They're VODs. We keep them up here. Like, comment, all that sort of stuff. Really appreciate you guys. It's been January. I'll be honest, January was like kind of tough for us in a lot of ways on the channel. And recently, you guys have done a lot to make things feel really good and happy, supportive. So check that video out. Thanks for hanging out. Follow us on all the things. Give some love to producer Henry, and we'll see some of y'all over on Discord and other places like that. And be on the lookout for a new video Friday. And, we'll see you back Monday to diagnose you with the case of the Mondays with a group of doctors who only pass the test because of diversity. Have a great rest of your week, guys. Try to keep some positive energy going. Be curious, and don't buy a Cybertruck. I just got to say it. Don't do
Yes,
it.
extremely good advice there. Do not buy a Cybertruck this weekend, guys. Just go have some fun out there. Thank you for joining us.